What's up, sons? It's Blind Riding with Son of a Tech once again, and today we have official numbers for the Kaspa miner from Bitmain, as well as an announcement for additional ASIC miners coming from Ice River. Today's sponsor is BT Miners. BT Miners has been a longtime sponsor of the channel and a proven reliable source for ASIC miners. If you're looking to purchase ASIC hardware from Bitcoin to Dogecoin miners, they are available for purchase on bt-miners.com. BT Miners is a trusted source by both ASICminervalue.com and CryptoMiner.com. Follow the affiliate link in the description and tell them SOT sent you to support the channel. To start things off, Bitmain has announced that their pre-sale price will be $49,800 per unit or $34,860 per unit after coupons. And that is that additional, of course, there is the $10,000 coupon on the way to the person who guessed the price correctly. In addition to this, though, it's important to note that there will be additional taxes and tariffs that will have to be paid. So all of the VAT fees that do drive this unit price up closer to the $60,000 range for United States residents, and probably some other residents as well, just depending on your geographical location. All of this will be important later on for calculations. But moving on from there, we also have the announcement from Ice River that they are going to be releasing an 8 terahash 3200 watt model that competes with the KS3 from Bitmain for $47,800 a unit. And the KAZ KSL3, which will be a 5 terahash unit at 5,200 watts. So a little bit less, and that one will be coming out at $24,800 per unit. Now, the biggest concern coming from Meanhash, who has been calling this pretty much since the releases of the FPGAs and the strategies that are utilized there, does call into question the amount of cell pressure on Kaspa and what it would be based on the amount of units produced. He does say that if the manufacturer produces 5,000 of them, you have 300 million in cell pressure with a current market cap of 260 million and only 15 million in trading volume. Of course, that is going to make this extremely difficult for people to liquidate to go ahead and purchase these units. So any purchase of these units will have to have some sort of additional outside investment other than just the Kaspa investment that they have, right? Just from the numbers, it's not going to be possible. I did note that we know that for certain there are 1,500 added to the network so far, but that was just for the KS3s, or not added to the network, excuse me, but added to sales, right? So in news right now coming from Viper Tech, they secured 1,500 units, at least that is this press release that we got here. And so we do know 1,500 units of the KS3 are coming in August, and this will definitely adjust out the numbers that I've run previously at the 2,000 mark. It is looking like, in my opinion, there will be a lot more units than 2,000 on this initial release. This might be the largest coin outside of Bitcoin as far as the ASIC production is concerned from Bitmain ever. And that does mean a lot of additional hash rate hitting the network, and of course a corresponding difficulty to that. So keep all of that in mind. You can see here official listings on iceriver.io for 47,800 and 24,800, and the official listing on Bitmain here for the KAZ Miner KS3 at 49,800. A couple things on price here recently for Kaspa. As you can see, Kaspa has dropped down below that 1.4 cent range. It is struggling a lot in the Asian hours. I believe the Asian markets are strongly tied to, of course, that Kaspa price selling for the ASICs. And so I think we will see, or continue to see, more price decline during the Asian hours than the US market, just because of how this has been looking here recently. But if we look at some of the reasons why, it is important to note that Hotbit has shut down. So with the shutting down of Hotbit, that was one of the exchanges that did support Kaspa. They will be closing shop completely here shortly, if not already. And that does mean that all of the Kaspa had to come out of that exchange. Whether that gets liquidated or not, or how that gets liquidated, I think is yet to be seen. But that does add potential sell pressure to Kaspa just from the closing of the exchange. Not near as much as some of the stronger exchanges, though, like MEXC, as well as, of course, KuCoin as it currently sits. So I went ahead and took the information that we do know for certain to be true and adjusted out the mining calculator on what to mine. That is 1,500 units and the adjusted difficulty for that. That difficulty number comes from essentially the fact that it would be 12.45 petahash, which means we're about 12x on the difficulty for Kaspa. That being calculated in with the reduction of block reward in August. Of course, this could be subject to change depending on how well Kaspa handles adjusting difficulty as these units get turned on. And the other issue that we currently have too is an early release of the ice rivers, right? So we are looking at a June 15th delivery or June 5th delivery now for the ice river 1 terahash and 2 terahash models. And then we have additional units coming from them. So this can still change, but this is the best to my knowledge that we can currently extrapolate out. So for the KS3, both the Ice River model as well as the Bitmain model, with that hash rate and the adjusted block reward and difficulty, it would be looking at about $118 per day. Now, if we wanted to calculate that into ROI with the price of the miner being about $50,000 at 10 cents a kilowatt hour and divided that 118, if you get your miner shipped to you directly on time, you will have a 423-day ROI with the adjustment in difficulty. Of course, the faster that these miners get online, the faster you'll be able to ROI. This does mean that you bring an ROI race into the calculation here. What do I mean by that? Well, as these miners get these units, they will want to ROI faster than their competitors. That adds additional sell pressure onto the coin. So basically, once you see these start to get plugged in and deployed, there will be additional sell pressure to the coin. Now, while the difficulty will adjust to bring some of this down and so on and so forth, as well as the block reward, there is still the final piece that would have to be accounted for, which would be price. And I do want to talk about some of that again, because I think that the important part to note here that we didn't mention last time is going to be cost to mint one Kaspa. Right now, if you took an RTX 3070 and you calculated out the cost to mint, right? A 3070 is going to do about 12 Kaspa per day, and that will be 98 watts. So if you divide 98 by 12, then you get the actual wattage, which is about 8 watts. If you plug that into a power calculator and calculate that out, that's at 2 cents a day. Basically, that means that you are paying 2 cents per Kaspa to mint that Kaspa. Pretty much right on par with what we were seeing before FPGAs were deployed to the network. That's at 10 cents a kilowatt hour. And this price will be lower as it gets deployed to ASIC miners, because ASIC miners are not running on industrial. So you actually end up having two kind of variables here as ASIC miners start to take over. The first variable, of course, is going to be cost or amount to mint, essentially, for your ASIC, which is the KS3. And you'll see here that you essentially make 488 per day, and that is at 3,200 watts. Now, if we calculate that out, that comes to about 2.89. So if you round up to 3, you are looking at still under half of what, of course, it costs to mint in particular a Kaspa compared to the 3070. This means that your projected cost to mint is sub-penny. And as many people are aware within the mining industry, the cost to mint is one of the largest determining factors of the price of the coin itself. Now, this will decrease in the future, but it's important to understand that that does mean that it will have a pretty significant effect. If we also go ahead and calculate into the equation that you will be looking at somewhere between 6 and 8 cents on the electricity, it gets even lower. And it's actually even too low for me to calculate out here. If we did 3 watts, we're obviously going to go to a penny a day, but it won't go below a penny on this calculator. I do need to find a better calculator for that, but it goes even lower, right? Sub penny. We put in 6 cents a kilowatt hour, it's sub penny. And that means that we will have potentially just a much lower cost, or not even potentially, we will have a much lower cost to mint, even with difficulty adjusted out as we see it here. And keep in mind, as each miner comes online, the difficulty will go up along with it. But because the cost to mint and the efficiency of these ASICs are so low, this is what we're looking at. Thanks everybody for watching. Be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe down below, and I will see you next Tuesday.